Portuguese is a very major language spoken around the world. I'm sure you're thinking, isn't Portuguese that sister language of Spanish? Technically, it's more like a cousin language. Where did Portuguese even come from, and how does it even work? Well, let's talk about that. History. Portuguese developed out of Common Romance or Vulgar Latin, though Common Latin spoken by the people of the Roman Empire. Throughout the decades, it evolved into Romance languages that are still spoken today, like Astur-Leonese, Piedmontese, Aromanian, and Megano-Romanian. Another language that evolved out of Common Romance was called Galician Portuguese, from the 9th century. From there, it evolved into numerous dialects, which then became languages today, such as Fala, Aeonavian or Galician Asturian, Galician, and of course today's subject, Portuguese. Around the year 1100, Spain was divided into many different kingdoms. The south was controlled by Al-Andalus, a Muslim-controlled territory. Because of this, many Arabic loanwords entered these languages, including Portuguese. The Kingdom of Galicia used to be a part of the Kingdom of Leon, but then became an independent sister kingdom, and Portugal used to be a part of the County of Galicia, but then became the independent Kingdom of Portugal in the year 1143. During Al-Andalus, the southern parts of Spain and Portugal were under Muslim rule longer than the north. They spoke both Arabic and Romance dialects called Mozarabic dialects, not to be confused with the sister language of Aragonese Mozarabic. Portugal spread to the south and regained the country back, fully conquering it in 1249 CE. Because of this, around 1,000 Arabic loanwords entered the language. Arabic loanwords. Many Arabic loanwords start with a or al because al is the Arabic definite article. Here are a few examples. The word
algodão,
meaning cotton, comes from al-katan.
alface,
meaning lettuce, comes from al-khas. And this word,
armazém,
meaning warehouse, comes straight from al-maksan. As I said earlier, 1,000 loanwords entered into Portuguese, but the majority of these have been dropped by the 20th and 21st centuries. In the year 1290, King Dennis opened the first university in the country, with the official language becoming Portuguese, rather than Latin, and later became standardized in the 1500s. Also in the 1500s, Vasco da Gama went on his voyage all over Africa, to southern Asia, and returned to be declared the first European to cross around the world, prior to the Americas being discovered. Because of this, Portuguese is spoken in Africa and southern Asia, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Throughout the 1800s, Portugal came to colonization, like Britain, Spain, and France. Africa, Asia, and Brazil became the major locations for Portugal, but the spoken languages haven't changed as much. More so in Brazil, however, the major influences of the slaves and their languages have made the Portuguese variety much more distinct than that of Europe, Africa, and Asia, called Brazilian. Today, Portuguese is spoken in, of course, Portugal, but also in Guinea-Bissau, Mozambique, Angola, Equatorial Guinea, Sao Tome and Principe, Cape Verde, East Timor, Macau, and if we take into account all of the native speakers, it's the third most spoken Romance language. And native speakers of Portuguese are also called Lusophones or Lusophonish in Portuguese. But with all this talk, what's Portuguese actually like? First, let's look at the pronunciation of some consonant sounds. First, r, spelled with either R at the beginning of a word or R when it's double. For example,
carro,
meaning car, and
rápido,
meaning fast. Also, the IP inscriptions here are not accurate to the way they're spelled. That's because I based the IPA inscriptions based on how they're pronounced in daily speech, which is normally reduced because you see these vowels here. The, like in English, the. For example,
parada,
meaning stop, which is a synonym of the normal word,
paragem,
which is used more often, and
nada,
meaning nothing. Next, sh, like the sound sh makes in English. For example,
alegres,
meaning happy in the plural form, and
eles,
meaning they. There's also a voiced equivalent, j, like in this word,
mesmo,
meaning same. Orthographic s and z sometimes represents sh and j in some contexts. Z. This is usually z or s in between consonants. For example,
casa,
meaning home, and
casal,
meaning couple. Also, notice the L in the word gazal. This L is actually pronounced ul, the sound you hear at the end of the word feel in English, ul. For example,
alto,
meaning high, and
Natal,
meaning Christmas. Next, lya. For example,
olhar,
the verb meaning to see, and
trabalho,
meaning work. Next, ña, a palatal nasal, which is the same as ñ in Spanish. For example, I have, tenho, and
nenhum,
meaning no as a determiner, vowels. There are 3 types of oral vowels, plus the schwa, high, mid, and low. There are also 5 nasal vowels.
a, em, um.
These vowels become nasalized if M or N precedes the vowel, and M or N will not be pronounced as a consonant itself. For example,
Gente,
meaning people,
cinto,
meaning belt, and
sargento,
meaning sergeant. Next, let's look at the grammar of the language, and we'll see other elements come in. The first sentence here means Alexandra loves her cat.
Alexandra ama o seu gato,
Word for word, it's the Alexandra loves her cat. Syntax here is the same as in English. Subject, verb, object, or SVO. A is a personal article, which is used before people's first names. To be clear, there are other definite articles that are used with normal nouns themselves. For example,
o cinto, os cintos,
meaning belt and belts, and
a lua, as luas,
meaning moon and moons. Here, ama is the third person conjugation of the verb amar, meaning to love. Here we see useu, the possessive pronoun for the third person. Here are a few more examples of possessive pronouns in context. For example,
o meu cão,
meaning my dog,
o seu exame,
meaning his exam, and
a vossa irmã.
meaning your sister. Let's look at another sentence. This means, what did you say to him?
O que tinhas dito-lhe?
Or,
O que lhe tinhas dito?
word for word, it's what you had said to him. First, uke is an interrogative pronoun or a question word, which in itself is a part of a wider set of pronouns. Similarly, we have this word, tu, which is a subject pronoun. Subject pronouns can normally be dropped, but usually are kept because of the stress timing in Portuguese. Here, the verbal construction is the pluperfect conjugation, as with the auxiliary verb,
Ter,
meaning to have,
dito,
is the past participle of the verb dizer, meaning to say. Next, lya. This is an indirect object pronoun. Object pronouns in general mainly come after the verb, but for the conditional and future indicative tenses, they're put in a different position. Take the sentence meaning, I would speak to him.
eu falar-lhe-ia,
Notice that lya is in the middle of the conjugation here. Another sentence meaning, is your sister working?
a tua irmã está a trabalhar,
Word for word, it's your sister stay to work. A tua is the feminine second person possessive pronoun, which we saw earlier. There are also a number of diacritics in Portuguese. Here we see a tilde on the word irmã, meaning sister, and an acute accent on the word está. Speaking of está, this is the present progressive form, which is conjugated with the verb estar, meaning to stay, but in this case it means be, plus a meaning to, and then the verb in the infinitive form. For example,
estamos a comer,
meaning we're eating, and they're playing.
estão a jogar,
This is the most common way to say the present progressive in Portuguese. And one last sentence. This means, I woke up from the sofa.
acordei do sofá,
Word for word, it's, I woke up from the couch, or sofa. The verb acordar means to wake up. Here it's conjugated for the first person in the preterite tense, or simple past. The simple past can also be used in contexts where you're using the half perfect in English. This word, do, is part of a wider range of contractions with prepositions. Contractions can also be used with demonstrative pronouns. Normally, with these two,
este, esta,
meaning this, and
aquele, aquela.
meaning that. Obviously, that has another form, but I skipped that just for simplicity. And contractions can even come with indefinite articles. Uma, uns, and umas. As you've seen by now, Portuguese is a very logical and kind of a little bit of a challenging language, though according to the FSI, it's a category 1 language, meaning that it's not that tough for English speakers to learn, especially for those that know, a Romance language, for example, Romanian, Catalan, or Spanish, of course. If you want to learn, I'll put some links down below to some resources that can really help you improve your Portuguese. Until then, thank you for watching, and I want to thank my speaker for this video, Doki. His Twitter will be down below, and my other friend who also actually helped research this video for me and confirmed my notes. And I'll talk to you guys probably later. Until then, I'm Shade.